Recording. Welcome to a new episode in our series Horary Astrology in the 21st Century, and I'm very happy to greet Stephen Ellis Birchfield in Norway. Greetings.
Hello to you in Germany.
And we just take the computer for support to start right in. This is an experiment, and we are talking about a horary question which was put to Emil Schmidt on the 2nd of November. The location is Bergisch Gladbach by Köln, and the time was 12:58. And Stephen is willing to look at this chart and doing it not with Placidus, which Emil Schmidt was doing, but answering the question which I was posing to Emil Schmidt. And he will impersonate the astrologer in Bergisch Gladbach. Stephen will do, if he would have been in that situation, and he will answer the question with whole sign houses, which is very interesting because a lot of things are changing. Stephen, you have the stage. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, well, you're welcome. As I think you wrote me a little bit earlier, talking about horary astrology, and I think I mentioned to you that I like to do horary astrology in context to something. That's usually the way I do it. In this case, I would answer the question, but I would also do it in context to, for example, the revolution of the year of the world for Germany, and see if there's, what I'm looking for is confirmation. I don't want to just base an answer on something very simple like this, because this was actually a good question. I think that as a citizen of Germany, you have all rights to ask such a question.
It's an important situation. Yes, that's true.
So I find that it's valid as a horary question. When I looked at the chart, the way I would approach this chart is because you are the querent, therefore you're the ascendant. But what is his name? His name is
Emil Schmidt. Emil Schmidt was
Olaf
Scholz is the
Olaf Scholz. Who is he in the chart? So I would choose the 7th house as being Olaf Scholz, because you are asking concerning another person. Okay. Which gives me a Cancer on the 7th house, whose lord is therefore the moon.
Yes.
And the moon is placed in the 10th house. Okay. Now, when you do look at it using a division of some kind, whether Placidus or Regiomontanus or Alcabatius or whatever, the moon is going to be falling succeedent in the chart. Now, that is very important. It's not falling away from the midheaven. It is in a succeedent place. Therefore, it's going to advance its matters. That's very important in the question. That's one of the first things I look at. Is it going to advance the things that it's supposed to be indicating? And it is, okay? And it's in the 10th house, which is Libra. Okay, that is the 10th sign. But more importantly, when it comes down to whether yes or no, it's very important to see that the moon is partile joined to its exalted ruler of the 10th. Right? Saturn.
Yes.
It's joined partile to Saturn. Saturn receives it. The moon is pushing its counsel, and it's received by Saturn. Therefore, it's going to be done. And Saturn is in an angle of the chart by division. Although he's in the 2nd house, it's kind of interesting that Olaf was finance minister.
Yes.
So that has, you know, we can take it for what it is, but it's interesting that it falls in the 2nd house.
He's still finance minister, commissarisch, commissioner, because the old cabinet is still ruling as long as the new cabinet isn't elected.
So if I was to answer this, I would say yes. He's going to become the prime minister or your chancellor.
Yeah, yes. So this is a demonstration how easy and how quick horary astrology is, right?
Well, yeah, and if I want to confirm it, okay, I would take this as a very positive answer. I mean, when both planets can advance the matter, the question at hand, is he going to become a chancellor? That is a 10th house matter. Okay, that is a 10th house. And you're talking about the exalted ruler of the 10th accepting it. So everything points to political station. Okay, and that's really important to see. But also, if I was to look at the revolution of the year for Germany, for example, for 2021, okay, then we're going to see on the ascendant, and this is quite interesting, Cancer is on the ascendant.
Do you want to use your computer? Should
So
I
we can use, I have two screens, so
Okay, I go off of my screen. Now you can use your computer.
Okay, let's see here. What do I do here? Do I push share screen, right?
You share screen, yeah, the green one, yeah, share screen.
Share screen, and I want to look at this one right here. Share?
Yeah, now it's coming, yes.
Okay.
There it is, yes.
So there we see the revolution of the world when the sun moved into Aries for Germany.
Okay.
And quite interesting, you have Cancer on the ascendant, okay, which is, I feel, okay, well, that's no accident, since Cancer was going to be the indicator for Olaf. And then when we looked at the midheaven here, when I'm just generally speaking, I'm looking at the midheaven falls away from the 10th house. The midheaven falls in the 9th, okay? Yeah. For me, and it's a bicorporeal sign, meaning there's going to be a change, okay? At some time during the year, there's going to be a change in the government. Very important to see Venus.
Just a minute. Are you saying that the change in government will happen in 2021? Does this go as far as that?
Probably. Well, as far as the exact who's going to be who, I don't know. I don't. No,
I mean, there's a lot of
because
discussion.
You already had elections, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot of discussion going on whether the coalition talks will take too much time, so Merkel will still do the Christmas.
Okay. Well, I don't think so. I don't think Merkel will be, because Venus is in Pisces, and she's just set, and she's set under the beams. She's finished. She's disappeared.
Okay.
So for me, that's the end of her, if you will call it her reign as chancellor.
Yes.
For me, that's the end of something. Okay. Whenever a planet sets under the sunbeams, okay, it's ending. Okay.
Yes.
And for Venus, this is her setting, is when she's direct, sets under the moon, and she's going to rise again. She's going to start her cycle again. So this is the end of a cycle. Okay? That's what it says to me when I'm looking at it. And you know me, I'm looking at it in a strictly traditional sense.
Yes, yes. One of the very
so
few.
I see just, okay, that gives me some signals. Okay. And I'm not going to make a whole lot, because I know there's going to be changes, because the ascendant is a cardinal sign, and the moon happens to fall in a bicorporeal sign. So it means there's going to be changes this year. Something's going to change. Those changes are seen at the quarters, but also every month. Okay, it's very important to see that. So I would look at the quarter. This is when it turns it. This is right before the elections, I guess, the 22nd of September, when the changes to the Libra, right?
It's a few days before the election. Yes, 26 was the election.
Okay, so we want to look and see where things are in the chart that we looked at previously. Okay, the moon especially. We want to look and see, well, the moon is in Aries, and it's in the 11th house. Okay. We see especially, again, that the midheaven is falling in the 9th house, falls away from the midheaven, and we find Saturn there in retrograde. So again, I'm not going to, for me, just looking at this chart is not specific enough, because this is for a whole period. This is for a quarter. It tells me that a solid sign is, the midheaven's in a solid sign, so what is decided is decided, okay? I would say that, but this is a nocturnal chart. This isn't a diurnal chart. If I look at the next month, this is when you ask your question. Okay, this would be when the sun moves into Scorpio. Okay, and the date on that is the 23rd of October. You asked your question the 2nd of November.
Yes.
Okay, so here it's going to be very important as well. And what do we see the midheaven?
It's in the
Cancer.
10th house. Yeah, it's the 10th house. Yeah.
Cancer is on the 10th.
Yes.
This again, we're getting, I'm just trying to confirm my understanding of your question.
Yes.
Okay? And so I'm getting this.
So we are talking about the mirroring of the question in the chart analyzed. And
Yes,
the
I
question
want to see indicators that are in the question to be in the time period that we're talking about.
Yes.
And
yes.
I see that. I see very clearly. Okay. And
Yes.
where's the moon? The moon is in Taurus. She's in her exaltation. Okay, which is very important.
Yes.
Okay. So for me, the answer, I'm kind of getting things confirmed here as to, is this gentleman going to become your chancellor? And I would have to say yes.
Okay. Let's go into some details. When we were looking at the whole sign chart for the time of the question, you didn't analyze Venus, right? Venus is in the whole sign chart is the ruler of the 10th house, right?
Well, it's a ruler of the 10th, and it's
but you didn't look
house.
at Venus, right? Why didn't you look at Venus as the ruler of the 10th?
She's cadent.
Ah, okay.
She falls clearly in the 12th house. She has no power to decide.
She has no power, and that's why you don't have to look at her. Okay.
Yes. I mean, for me, that's why I looked at it, yes. But I made no comment about it because, number one, the moon isn't joined to Venus. She sees her domicile, but she's in the 12th house. So she's actually cadent and powerless.
Okay.
She has no power in the chart.
And another technical question, in your analysis, you didn't use the bounds and the decans. Is that usual for you for questions like this, not to analyze the bound positions? And
well, I would look at the bounds because it tells me something about the native in question.
Do you have some information out of the bounds?
I don't know the man at all. So I see it's ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is very good by, it's good for what? When you're talking about mercurial things, you're talking about finances, you're talking about math, you're talking about being a superintendent kind of person who's in charge of,
yes.
Banking, all these kind of things fall under Mercury.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I guess you could say it has its signification.
So basically you are saying it depends how deep you dig into the accidental honors, right? Dignities.
Yeah, and also the question was, will he or won't he be chancellor? There was no other information that I needed to find. Okay. Can I look deeper into this? I don't know. I think that it's answering our question. Right. I really believe it answers the question.
So you're saying Olaf Scholz will be Bundeskanzler?
Yeah, I would say so, yes.
Okay, you can take off your computer.
Let's see. What do I have to do to take? Oh yeah, there it is, up there. Stop share. There we go.
So this is very interesting. Thank you very much for that. And I have a theoretical question for you. You were not the only person I was emailing this experiment. And it resonated quite differently. You were very positive. Yes, why not? When do you want to do it? And I have, I won't tell the names. I will tell you the names afterwards when we talk privately. And the resonant was, one was, that's none of your business. I want to answer things like that. Or the other one, no, that's not correct, Horary. You have to have a personal, emotional relation to the question, the thing asked. And basically, all the other people were saying, no, we won't participate in this experiment because we don't do this sort of work, and you are the exception.
I'm an exception. Well, I took it because I thought the question was a good question. It's a fair question, and it's a fair question that you, as a German citizen, asked a German astrologer.
Yes.
So it's in context. It's not taken out of context. You're just asking me, well, what is your opinion about this?
Yes.
Okay.
And basically,
I can give you my opinion.
You are in the tradition of William Lilly because he did this too. But obviously, in the horary community in America and England, there are people, and I will tell you afterwards who they were, who have shied away from this sort of experiment. But for now, for this experiment, Stephen Ellis Birchfield is prognosticating Olaf Scholz will be Chancellor of Germany, most likely in this year, right?
Yeah, I would say before the revolution of the next year. Okay,
right.
So that would be before March.
The Aries ingress next year. Yes. Okay, so I stop the recording and thank you from the audience to Stephen Ellis Birchfield in Norway. And you do this professionally too. Could anybody try to contact you and ask, would you answer a horary question? Would you do that as a professional, or is that something you don't do?
I'm not a horary astrologer, to put it very simply. I use horary in my astrology because I'm a natal astrologer. I do mundane, I do natal work. I have people come to me for elections, and they come to me for horary questions. I have a client that just asked me about a change of her job. And I answer them using horary, but I always base them in their nativity.
Okay, that gives me a last question. I was talking with Reinhard Stiele von Astronova and Chiron Verlag. We were discussing the practice of John Frawley, who was prognosticating the results of a soccer match when the soccer match was already underway. And he was telling me, no, if the soccer match is happening and you are in the booth with a journalist from the television, and he asks you, how will it end, who will win, then the astrologer will not use horary methods, but he will use electoral methods. Do you have an opinion on that?
I don't have any opinion on it because if I'm really honest, I find such questions very frivolous.
well, it's a theoretical.
I'm sure for other people they're serious, but for me,
the difference might be that in the electional approach, you don't have the querent, right?
Yeah, an electional, yeah, that's very true. You don't have, well, you do have a querent in a way, but you have the person that you're doing the election for.
Yes. Okay. So, but you leave that question open because you are not on that
No, that's not where I go with my astrology.
Okay, so thanks very much. I stopped the recording. Thank you for stopping by. Danke fürs Vorbeischauen und auf bald.